Generally speaking, a team that has ambitions of winning the Super Bowl will be good on both offense and defense. But that isn't always the case, and one side of the ball isn't able to keep up with the other, and some of those have still found their way to a Super Bowl title. Today we will be counting down the 10 worst offenses to win the Super Bowl, and we will be doing that the same way we always do, by using C-Score. C-Score is a metric created by this channel in order to assign an overall value to all NFL teams during the Super Bowl era that does so much more than just looking at their records. C-Score is further broken down into offensive and defensive components. For a more thorough explanation, be sure to check out the description of this video. This list does not solely reflect the team's offensive performance in just the Super Bowl or just the playoffs. It takes into account the entire season, from week 1 all the way through to the title ceremony. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are ready to roll. Taking the number 10 spot are the 2003 New England Patriots. The team went 14-2 after a 2-2 start, capturing the AFC's number 1 seed on the way to their Super Bowl appearance. They finished 12th in the league in scoring against the middle-of-the-road schedule, landing an offensive C-score of 6.579. These Patriots started the season with 0 points, getting shut out by the Buffalo Bills on opening day. They immediately improved to 31 points the following week, a point total they only surpassed 3 more times that season. One of those just happened to be in the Super Bowl though, a game that may qualify as New England's best offensive performance of the season. In the end, they finished 17th in total yards, 27th in rushing yards, and 3rd to last in rush yards per attempt. A franchise familiar with the Patriots takes the 9th spot, the 2007 New York Giants. At 10-6, they finished 2nd in the NFC East, but landed the conference's top wildcard spot. They played a tougher schedule, landing a 14th ranking in points scored and an offensive C-score of 6.412. The Giants did have some fits of scoring during the season, clearing 30 points 6 different times. They also failed to score at least 20 points 7 times. With only 3 regular season games in the 20s, they did it 3 times in the playoffs before only making it to the teens in the Super Bowl, which of course still resulted in a win. They could run the ball, but they were in the bottom half of the league in total yardage and passing yardage, and they were bottom 10 in turnovers and first downs. We move ahead just 1 season for our number 8 entry, the 2008 Pittsburgh Steelers. AFC North champions for a 2nd consecutive season, the 12-4 Steelers only finished 20th in scoring, but they did so against a top-notch schedule. Their offensive C-score sits at 5.758. Pittsburgh dropped 38 points on the Houston Texans in Week 1, a number they only matched 1 time all season and never once surpassed. 6 different times they failed to score more than 14 points, still going 3-3 in those games. They did score higher than their season average in all 3 playoff games though. The only primary offensive category where they finished in the top 10 was rushing attempts. Yet they still finished bottom 10 in rushing yards and average yards per rush. Maybe a bit of a surprise here, taking the 7th spot are the 1981 San Francisco 49ers. The Niners jumped from 6-10 to 13-3 this season, taking the NFC West on their way to Super Bowl glory. A 7th place finish in scoring isn't bad, but it wasn't against the most stellar schedule. Their offensive C-score is 5.752. The West Coast offense was certainly effective at this time, but it was still rounding into the form it would one day take. 7 times they failed to score 20 points, still going 4-3 in such instances. Like the Steelers, they stepped up their offensive game in the playoffs, scoring higher than their season average in each game. They took care of the ball, finishing 2nd in fewest turnovers, but were otherwise in the neighborhood of pedestrian to slightly above average everywhere else. One of 3 major candidates for the top spot, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens instead land the number 6 spot. Their 12-4 record kept them out of the top spot in the AFC Central, but it didn't keep them out of the Super Bowl. They finished 14th in scoring to snag an offensive C-score of 3.281. These guys were most well known, offensively anyway, for going 5 straight games without a touchdown. They did kick 14 field goals though. Still not good, that's fewer than 9 points per game, but it kept them above water. They hit the 30s 3 times in the regular season and bumped up to 44 once. What offense they did have was powered through the running game, but they were right in the middle in total yards and bottom 10 in passing yards. The second half of the countdown begins with the 1990 New York Giants at number 5. A 10-0 start to the season gave way to a 13-3 finish, still well good enough to win the NFC East. They were middle of the pack in scoring and strength of schedule, bringing them an offensive C-score of 2.763. The Giants provided steady offense in 1990, never once scoring higher than 31 points, but getting to at least 13 points in every game but one. One of those 31-point games occurred in the playoffs, but they were then able to advance to the Super Bowl the following week without needing a touchdown. They resembled the 2008 Steelers from earlier in the list, taking excellent care of the football and running the ball well, while finishing 7th to last in passing yards. The second of 3 major candidates for the top spot, the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers instead land in 4th place. The 12-4 NFC South Division champions had their strengths, but a bottom 10 schedule and an 18th place finish in scoring weren't it, giving them an offensive C-score of 2.756. The Bucs brought John Gruden in as head coach to improve the offense, and he did to a minor degree. Tampa's points per game increased by 1.4, and their yards per game increased by just under 20. But it still wasn't a pretty overall picture, finishing bottom 10 in total yards, first downs, rushing yards, rush yards per attempt, and rushing touchdowns. They did score 75 total points in the NFC Championship game and Super Bowl combined, which of course included 4 pick sixes from the defense. The franchise's second entry from a 3-year period, the 2001 New England Patriots take the number 3 spot. 11-5 was good enough to win the AFC East and earn a bye, and on the surface, a 6th place finish in points scored looks good. But their schedule was laughably easy, and their offensive C-score lands at 2.646. Just how easy was that schedule? 6 of their 16 games were against teams with negative double-digit defensive C-scores, including 2 with the historically bad Indianapolis Colts. That'll hurt the bottom line. In their 3 playoff games, they scored exactly 1 offensive touchdown per game. As far as the total numbers go, 19th in yardage, 22nd in passing yards, and while they were 13th in rushing, they were 24th in rush yards per attempt. Who says magic fairy dust is mythical? No, this is not a misprint. At number 2 are the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs. On reputation, this is highly surprising, but the numbers say otherwise. KC won the AFC West again, going 11-6, but they only finished 15th in scoring against a below-average schedule. Their offensive C-score is above average, but just barely at 0.026. Remember when the Chiefs scored at least 26 points in every game of the 2018 season? They only did that 7 times in 21 tries this season, playoffs included. Also 7 times, they scored 17 points or fewer. They have better numbers than many teams we've already looked at, 9th in total yardage, 6th in passing yardage, but they barely bothered running the ball and they were in the bottom 10 for most turnovers. Their opportunism and their performance in clutch situations are all that saved them from a negative offensive C-score. No, that dishonor only belongs to one Super Bowl champion. Taking our top spot are the 2015 Denver Broncos. They would, of course, be the third out of our three major candidates for this spot. They still won the NFC West at 12-4, finishing 19th in scoring against a strength of schedule that was harder than that number 12 ranking would indicate. None of that brings them above water, with their offensive C-score dipping below zero at -2.224. The funny thing about the Broncos is that they were an offensive juggernaut for the previous 3 seasons, including 2013, where they put up what is still the second greatest offensive performance in the Super Bowl era. Not so much this season. Out of 19 total games, they hit the 27-point mark just 5 times. They had just as many games where they couldn't clear 17 points. Their best offensive ranking was rushing touchdowns, where they finished 12th. They were 16th in total yards and 29th with their 31 turnovers. We see some close finishes here when looking at the top 10 as a whole. Barely 1/10 of a point separates number 3 from number 5. 6/1000th of a point separates the Steelers and 49ers at numbers 8 and 7 respectively. But we also have 3 separate gaps of more than 2 points, including 2 at the very bottom of the list. Interestingly, only 2 teams predate the salary cap and free agency era, which also serves as a line of demarcation for more offensive play as encouraged by the league itself. In fact, we got 4 consecutive entries from 2000 to 2003, with the 2000s decade as a whole supplying 60% of the entire list. Thank you for taking the time to join us today and for making it this deep into the video. Take a moment if you would to like, share, and subscribe. It costs nothing and really helps out the channel. Don't forget to ding the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our future releases. Let me know what you think about all of this. Was there another Super Bowl champion whose offense you thought would make the list? Was there someone we included that you believe shouldn't belong? Do you have any theories on why the last 25 seasons made up for 80% of the list, while the previous 34 only make up 20%? Sound off on these topics or anything else you may have on your mind down in the comments section below. Thank you once again for being with us today, and until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.